Most people's voice AI agents projects failed, and one of those reasons is because their voice AI prompting sucks. And that's why in this video, I'm going to be taking you through the step-by-step complete guide on how I prompt all my voice AI agents using this perfect prompting formula that is able to create high quality, high engaging, high conversational voice AI agents. So without further ado, let's get straight into it. So first of all, this is going to be my voice AI prompting guide. I use all of these, things inside my voice AI prompts that is able to make myself produce high quality voice AI agents for my clients, that is allowing us to produce, insane results for businesses. And yeah, so let's get straight into it. So first of all, this is going to be the guide. I'm going to be running you through the exact formula I use to prompt all my AI agents. So let's get right into it. So first of all, the first thing that we need to do is define the role for the voice AI agent. Now, this is very important. So the role prompting assigns your voice AI agent to a specific industry during conversations. This helps the agent embody a character and improves performance in voice interaction. So of course, this is going to be the first thing that the LLM is reading when you are putting this into your prompt. So again, this is really important to not only be concise, but also make sure that you are prompting it for that business. You need to prompt the agent and its characteristics throughout the conversation, because this is going to define how the AI agent speaks within the conversation. So obviously, if you were doing it for, maybe a customer service agent, you would say you are a highly skilled and empathetic customer service agent. Now, what are customer service agents? They are they're knowledgeable, right? They are polite. So again, we're prompting the AI agent in its role to be empathetic, right? You need to speak clearly, listen actively, and maintain a professional tone. So again, depending on the business's industry that you are doing, you need to prompt your AI agent and its role within that type of section, right? So for example, this voice AI agent is, an empathetic customer voice agent, and in the role, we've told it that. So this is going to be, resolving complex issues through natural conversation. And we've also defined its persona by speaking clearly and actively listening. So exactly just like it's supposed to inside the business. So again, this is really important. Now, just some research results on this is voice clarity improved over 15% with a role assignment, and then customer satisfaction increased by 20 to 30%. And overall, the conversation flow became more natural. So some of the key takeaways here is you need to make sure you choose a voice persona that matches your, service context. So just like I mentioned above, and also add descriptive qualities to enhance the agent's communication style, and then focus on voice specific traits like tone, pacing, and empathy. So again, this is really important because the voice AI agent is, this is going to be one of the first things that it's seeing. And of course, if you do want this slide, you do want, a complete guide on how to prompt these agents and an example guide, I will leave everything that I've used, all the free resources down below in the description, so you can go ahead and grab it. So again, this right here is going to be the highlighted section inside our prompt. So you think about how the prompt runs. It goes, the role, task, specifics, all those type of things inside the prompt. So as you can see, this is just a visual representation of kind of what the LLM is seeing. So this is going to be the first thing. And then the next thing is going to be tasks. Now, this is one of the most important things when we are prompting these voice AI agents, because we need to define what our voice AI agent should accomplish. Now, because it's a little bit more complex than these text agents or SMS agents, this is where we're going to be referencing some of the tools. So the task component describes what you want your voice AI agent to achieve. So this is really important because we need to let the AI agent know what it needs to achieve in the conversation, whether that's booking appointments, handling customer inquiries, a bunch of different things. So here's an example, right? Handle incoming customer calls for appointment scheduling, listen to customer needs, ask clarifying questions about preferred times, services, check availability using tools, and confirm bookings while maintaining a friendly conversational tone. Now, I've just put down here voice AI agent tools. So this is going to be the section where we're going to be referencing the tools for the voice AI agent to call. So in the conversation, it's going to be actively calling all of these tools. So we can also send that data for check availability, book appointments, call transferring, send confirmation. So this is going to be the section that we're going to be using to define, some of those tools and let the agent know when to call the tools as well. So that's going to be, number 2 in our voice AI agent prompt. And I'll show you what an example looks like in that as well. So if we go on to the next slide, it's going to be chain of thought prompting. Now, this is the most important thing, I think, in the prompting by far, because this is going to tell the AI agent how to think. It's going to let the AI agent know what its thought process is. It's going to let the AI agent know when to call specific tools as well, which I'll show you later in kind of the example, but chain of thought prompting really helps our voice AI agent think through the conversational steps. So for example, number one, so the first thing that the agent's going to do is greet the caller warmly, right? And then we can have a bunch of steps and lists on how to greet the caller, which is what I'll show you soon. Number two, actively listen, ask qualifying questions, right? And then we could have the qualifying criteria. Number four, use available tools. So this is how you check availability. This is how you book appointments. So by structuring it in kind of a chain of thought process, we can allow the voice AI agent to effectively conduct its conversation in a very accurate way by using this process right here. So research results on this showed a 5% improvement in all call resolution rates, 85% increase in handling complex multi-step conversations, and a significantly better conversational flow and customer experience. So again, by combining all of these things, this allows us to prompt our voice AI agents effectively. And I thought I'd make a video because this is such an important thing in voice AI agents, and it's why a lot of voice AI agents projects fail as well. So this is going to be the number 3 component right here, and it's also included inside the task section. And I'll show you what an example prompt looks like. But again, the whole purpose of this chain of thought thinking process is to clearly define the step-by-step action that the AI agent needs to take throughout the conversation. So again, this will just really enhance the structure of the conversation and making sure it accomplishes its task as well. So if we go on to the next slide, right here, this is going to be an example of what this actually may look like. So we can see this is an example of another chain of thought thinking, right? We've got step 1, greet the user. Step 2, qualify the lead. Step 3, check availability. Step 4, book appointment. And then step 5, confirm appointment and reassure. So we can see right here, we've used that chain of thought structure, and underneath each of those steps, we've told the AI agent in further detail on how to conduct that step. So as we can see, we're using a bunch of information. We're giving it really concise information and also a little bit of prompt engineering here as well to really let the AI agent know in detail and in context how to conduct each step by step. So this is going to add a whole layer of instructions. So if we just dive into this, step 1 is going to be greeting the user. So greet the lead and confirm the reason you're reaching out. And this right here is the dynamic variable, which is what I'll get into later in the prompts. Use the reason to greet the user in a conversational way. And then here's an example. So hey Ashton, this is Emily from Sunrise Legal, just reaching out from the form you submitted about a family law matter. So this is a prompt for an outbound agent that I actually built. And then step 3, qualify the lead. So based on the type, ask specific questions to qualify the lead based on what they do. And then obviously it was too big, this kind of task to paste in, but essentially I just had a criteria of qualification part. So for example, if it's in this case family law matter, ask these questions and then qualify if this, right? And then went down. But I just deleted this because it actually couldn't fit in the screen. So again, this is a good example of chain of thought prompting right here. And then step 3, check availability. So once the agent has greeted the user, once it's qualified the lead, it'll then check the availability. So you can see how with adding a layer of structure to our voice AI agent prompts. And once you get really good at actually conducting these prompts, that's the ability to create these highly conversational, very valuable voice AI agents. And this is absolutely, a very important skill and a very important step to learn when you're prompting your agents. So we can see check availability here. So I've gone fairly in detail. And essentially how you think this out is all the possible scenarios that can potentially happen in the conversation. And we can prompt engineer that in that specific chain of thought process step to combat that. So for example, if the lead qualifies, offer to schedule a free solution, ask them for their preferred day and time, and then use the check availability tool. So if we come back here to the tools, this is where we're going to reference these tools underneath the chain of thought specific step right there, right? So we can see for using available tools right here for check availability, that's where we're going to quote the tool. So now when the AI agent realizes that it's in this step from the chain of thought prompting, it's then just going to call this tool to find an open slot. And then ensure when you send the time, follow in ISO 861 format. So again, this is just prompt engineering or making sure that AI sends it in a time that the automation's software can understand. So again, good example of prompt engineering. And then you must ensure this time is always in the future using the current time in Brisbane, Australia. So this is just a dynamic variable, which is what we call it. And I'll get into that later, actually, how we can implement these to personalize our prompts and enhance our prompts, even more on top of this structure. All right. And then from there, we've got a little bit more prompt engineering. So you can see how we can add all this details. We can add these layers to, combat, all the different types of difficulties we could have on the conversation and in the phone. So if their preference is unavailable, run the check availability tool again. If the customer's requested time, or you ask to find a tool, you must run the check availability again. So again, just prompt engineering. If the time's not available, run it again, right? Or if the customer asks you to find general availability, run it again. So it's just some prompt engineering and extra layering, and in these steps. And then book appointment is fairly the same thing. So again, using that chain of thought prompting, once the time is agreed upon, you can ask and finalize the details to make the booking. Ask for their full name, the email address if you don't already have it, and then you will confirm their details for the appointment. You must ensure you confirm the appointment time in a natural conversational tone. So you can see, you kind of get what I mean in this prompt. I won't go too much in detail in these last steps, but again, using that chain of thought thinking, mentioning the tools as well, and then adding all of our prompt engineering layers underneath it as well. So again, this is a perfect example of that chain of thought prompt thinking. It's a very, very important part on how to structure the entire conversation of our voice agent. So if we move on to the next thing, it's going to be specific. So right here, we need to define voice interaction guidelines. So again, this is just an extra layering on how we're going to handle the conversation. So the specifics guideline outlines the important voice interaction guidelines and conversational rules. Use this list to format to easily add new instructions as you test and improve your voice AI agent. So again, we can add certain, variables in this section to test and handle errors, upon the task. So if the AI agent, for example, if the AI agent, for example, mentions that it's calling a tool, we can add into this section right here. If you're calling a tool, make sure, you don't mention it. Just say one moment while I check that for you, right? So we can add certain layers and guidelines to the voice AI agent to enhance the conversation even more, right? And we can add, confirmation. So always repeat back important details like times, dates, and contact information. So again, using more layers in this section. Error handling, if you mishear something, politely ask for clarification. So we can add all these steps and add all these layerings. And what we actually do in testing, if the conversation is going wrong, this is the spot to actually go ahead and add in those personalized type of specifics right here. So then we've got voice specific guidelines. So keep responses natural, not robotic. Use natural speech patterns. So again, just adding a bunch of layers just to make the prompt more conversational in this sense. So this part's very important also, but it's also a good part to test and improve the agent along the way. So this is a part of testing and optimizing the agent. Next is the context. So this is very important to provide business context and system context. So again, providing context about your business environment and the voice AI agent's role in your system helps improve conversion quality and agent performance. So again, we're just letting the AI agent know what the business is about, some details around the business, why the caller might be calling, what its main intention is doing. And this will just let the AI agent know and just have a little bit more background and context to the caller's query. So for example, for a dental clinic, right, we're giving a little bit of, information about the dental clinic. Our dental practice serves busy professionals who value efficient scheduling when patterns call our main line. You are the first point of contact. So again, letting the AI agent know, that it's the first point of contact in the business. And your role in managing these calls effectively is a crucial patient satisfaction and our practitioners and our practice's reputation. By providing excellent phone service, you will directly contribute to the patient's retention and practice growth. So again, this is just a generated example for a dental clinic, but again, you can put business information here. You can put context on why the caller is calling. For example, maybe you're doing an outbound agent, right? And the agent is actually calling someone. You can give the context to the agent why it's calling it. For example, you are calling a lead that has just submitted a form. You can put that in the context as well to give it some background knowledge and further enhance the prompt as well. And also, by using this exact format in here, this will, really just create the perfect prompt for our voice AI agent. So context elements to include. So obviously business info, call flows, how calls reach the agent, typical caller expectations. So you could even put in here, the caller may be calling because of this, right? The caller may be calling, maybe it's a home service company. The caller may be calling because they want their pipe service fixed or they want their sink fixed. They've got a leaky tap, right? So again, you can give the intentions behind the caller before they've even called based on the general business overview, right? And impact. So why excellent voice service matters to the business. So again, making sure or letting the agent know that its conversations that it's having with the customer is going to affect the retention and it's going to affect the reputation of the business, right? Then you can also add some context around how it's integrating with tools as well. So that'll also help, the tool calling. So again, this is a very, very important thing. And this is why it's highlighted, quite largely here, is because, we're giving the agent some context. And you can just do a bunch of context dumping right here, and format it in, which is what I'll show you soon. But again, this is a really important part right here. So let's go next. So next is very, very important. So it's going to be example conversation. So this is how we're going to guide the voice AI agent through interactions and real scenarios. So as you can see right here, I've got a little bit of an example conversation, which is what I'll dive into. But example conversations serve as an in-context learning for your voice AI agent, showing exactly how conversations should flow and when to use specific tools as well. So there's two main reasons why we do this, right? Is, again, we're showing the AI agent how to conduct the conversation without, any, previous context, or without the caller actually calling. And then also when to call the tools as well. So again, confirming to the agent what times to call the tools, when in the conversation to call the tools, just to make it really conversational and natural. So for example, we must use the example conversation for our voice AI agent to guide how the conversation should go, and also to note to how to perform tasks by referencing the tool. So we can see right here, this is an example conversation. We have run check availability tool. So for example, the lead might say, thank you, or the lead might say, yes, do you have any availability at 3 p.m., right? And then we're going to prompt the agent to say, 1 moment, I'll check that for you, right? And then put in brackets, run the tool. So making sure it's conversational, right? We don't want the agent to, hallucinate and run the tool before they've even set a time, right? So again, this is just extra layers we can add onto the voice agent prompt as well. Then we've got here, we've got, book appointment tool. So once the lead has provided its information, the agent will confirm that and then run the book appointment tool. So you can see how we can layer these tools into the voice conversation as well. And then the final point, obviously, is this will serve as good context and good examples of how the conversation generally goes. So for example, if for whatever reason, maybe the customer is talking about, something else, right? Something completely unrelated to the conversation, right? The agent can often, use this script as a guide to further guide it to its core objectives and its core tasks. So it's making sure that the conversation is always on track as well. And that's another really key point about this example conversation right here, which is why it's number 6 in the line. So also a good note here is in the prompt, if you think about how the agent is thinking, right? The top and bottom part is often the most important part. So, that's why we have the role and everything. So that's also a good note. Next is going to be notes. So this is the final reminders. So as the LLM is reading, these notes, this is going to be the last thing that it reads, right? So again, this is going to be adding in, the extra source. So this is going to be adding in, any final details that we may need. So again, this is your final opportunity to remind the voice agent the key aspects and add voice-specific tweaks to optimize conversation quality. So we can see voice agent notes. This is just maybe some things that you might add to the end to enhance the conversational ability of the AI agent. So again, always speak clearly and at an appropriate pace for phone conversations. Do not put calls on hold without explanation. All these things that we can put into it. Confirm all important details. And then down here is what we call the lost in the middle effect. So that's what I was actually explaining earlier, is voice agents perform best when critical instructions are at the beginning or the end of the prompts, right? And a little bit of research behind it is 25% of better performance when key instructions are positioned at the start or the end. Instructions in the middle are often forgotten or ignored. So that's why it's really important to keep it really concise and focused. So, often we don't want a massive prompt because this might cause the agent to hallucinate or to, forget things, right? So that's also a very, very good thing right there. And then the research results when the relevant document at the beginning or the end of the context. So this is from GPT 3.5, achieves around 75% accuracy on a QA task and an increase of 25% compared to when the document was placed in the middle. So that just proves that the research shows that, putting the most important part at the front and the back really is going to enhance our prompt. So again, this is going to be our overall structure. So now you have a clear idea on how your prompt structure should be every single time by going over everything. So not only will using this, exact prompting formula and structuring it in this way, step by step is going to make, a drastic difference to your voice AI agents as well, but it's also going to enhance the quality and the value you provide to business owners when building these voice AI agents. So that leads us to our next thing. So we won't really leave it at there, right? We can add in something special, the source on top to really, really, really enhance these prompts. So this is called markdown formatting. So this is essentially a way to structure our voice AI agent prompt. So again, we can structure it by using formatting that the LLM can read. So if you think about what is actually going on inside these voice AI agents and the systems behind it, you can actually kind of add in these specific type of things to enhance the prompt. So again, long voice agent prompts need clear structure, markdown formatting, and it will also help organize different components and make prompts easier to read and maintain. So again, these are some of the type of things. So right here, this is some of the benefits. So clearer conversational flow, better organization, easier to update and maintain, and then also improved agent comprehension and complex instructions. So if we go out here, let's actually come into what we call markdown formatting. This is just a website that we have that will allow the agent to see kind of what it's seeing. So we can see right here that this is kind of some of the things that we can put inside our prompt to further enhance everything. So we can see right here, for example, right, for role, right, we might want it as a larger header, or for the conversation, we might want it in lists and dot points. So we can see right here, we can add hashtags in front of it. We can add asterisks in front of it, right? And this is going to enhance the prompt of our AI agent. So again, if you think about what the LLM is seeing, if we just get a example prompt right here, let me just flick over to here. We can actually go ahead and paste this in. You can see how that is now what the LLM is seeing. So this is actually what the LLM is seeing, right? So for those, for the role, for the task, for the specifics right there, it's highlighted in bold. So this is even going to enhance the way the AI agent understands the prompt and what to exactly do. So that's just an example of how you can do it. You can add in tables, you can add in images even, you can add in links. So again, this is a really great trick and a really great tool to enhance the prompts of our AI agents right here. So again, that's something very useful for us to note. And we're also building these prompts. So now that we've added that formatting, we've added the roles, we've added everything, we've used everything to enhance the AI agents. Now we're adding on some extra source markdown formatting to structure these prompts. So that's how you can take your prompts from beginner, to all the way to advanced. And, it's such an important part of these prompts. So let's move down to the next thing, which is dynamic variables. So this is a great tip. When we're prompting the agent, we can add in these, dynamic variables to inject personalized data into your AI agent responses for a specific call. So for example, we can add in the variable syntax, and our agents will adapt to that type of syntax to make the conversational flow better and more personalized. So for example, in our retail, dashboard, we can have hello customer name right here. So it's going to say hello John, right? So that is, that's a great way that we can personalize these prompts and make it even better, right? So again, where dynamic variables work. So in the instructions and personality, the begin message, so the opening and greeting, tool configurations, custom URL, custom function URLs, tool descriptions, property descriptions, etc. So if this is a really good way to add personalization into the AI agent. So for example, of course, you could have hello lead name for the customer greeting. You could have it inside the prompt, which is what I'll show you next. So again, this is a very great tip to use inside your prompts to make the prompt more personalized. So now, once we know all of this, you might be wondering, like, what exactly does a prompt look like when all this is put together? Now, that is going to be the next slide. This is what I would really call, a great prompt for a voice AI agent that I've built. So, let me just break it down in detail. So this is what everything looks like, together. We've got the markdown formatting. We've got the dynamic variables that we've used. We've got the entire, prompting format that we've used. So now you have a, high quality voice AI agent right here. So we can see this might be for I believe it's a law firm, right? So we can see the role, you're a highly professional, empathetic voice AI agent for a law firm, specializing in personal injury cases. Your primary goal is to provide a seamless and professional client intake experience. You must clearly listen actively and maintain a calm, reassuring tone. So you can see how we've structured that role to fit a law firm, right? People might be calling up stressing about their personal injury, right? So we can prompt the AI agent to be able to handle those conversations more clearly. So that's a great example for a law firm. So you can see kind of how you can adapt that role towards that business's specific case, right? Tasks. Now, what may be an AI receptionist or a voice AI agent doing, right? It might be greeting the lead, making sure it's calm, making sure it's, responsive, right? qualifying the lead, so making sure the lead's qualified, right? Checking availability, booking appointments, confirming, right? So you can see how I've used that chain of thought prompting for law firms, right? And this is a good thing. We also have those dynamic variables. So for example, greet the lead and confirm the reason you're reaching out. In this case, it was an outbound agent for a law firm. So we were able to get in data and put them inside the prompt to make the conversation personalized. So again, that's a great, reference to this dynamic variables that a little bit of context, but essentially it was like a form and they had the reason for them reaching out. So we can put this into the AI agent and it can automatically confirm the reason, right? It'll already have that information to make the conversation more personalized using that dynamic variable. So again, this is the chain of thought prompting right here. Qualifying the lead. Again, I deleted out all the all of the qualification criteria because it was just too long and couldn't fit on the screen. But again, you can see how we've used that chain of thought prompting, and then we've used all of that prompt engineering. Again, I won't go in detail too much. So again, now it knows its role, it knows its task. We've used dynamic variables to personalize the conversation. We've got the markdown formatting there. The agent sees it clearly. It's in a nice structured format. So you can kind of see how we combine all these things to make these voice AI agents prompts really good, right? And again, we've got the specifics, right? So hold times, personalization, use the caller's name, right? Error handling, how to handle errors, right? Keep responses conversational, not robotic. So again, you can see how we've added that specifics underneath the task, right? Context, right? We've got a little bit of context about the law firm. So you operate within a high stakes legal environment. You must understand that every caller is a potential client facing a difficulty or stressful situation. So you can see we're giving a little bit of context behind why the caller is calling, right? Your firm's core values are, empathy, efficiency, and professionalism. So again, we're giving a little bit of context about the businesses and their values and their, their mission statement, etc., right? And then here we've got an example conversation. So again, using that markdown format, as we can see, you can say, hey, dynamic variable. Again, this is Emily from Sunrise Legal. So again, there's the main things that we highlighted before is using some of those dynamic variables, letting the AI agent know how to structure the conversation. We're letting it know, when to call tools. So again, that's the example conversation. And then finally is the notes. Do not give legal advice. So again, perfect for a law firm, letting the AI agent know any final notes that it needs to know inside the conversation. So don't give any, legal advice, defer any legal questions to the attorney in consultation, maintain a professional and empathetic tone at all times. If the lead is not qualified, end the call politely. So again, a little bit of prompt engineering, a little bit of notes. This is where you can add your final jazz right here. So yeah, this is what, the prompt that we have all together. And this is really how you can use the structure we have, the markdown formatting, the personalization to create high quality voice AI agent prompts. So of course, I'm going to leave this slideshow, everything that I've used down below in my free resources in the link description below. But hopefully, you gained, you gained some knowledge about this. This is a very, very important skill. Just learning AI in general and learning these voice AI agents. Your future self will definitely thank you, learning these type of skills is a very, very important skill to learn. But yeah, without further ado, I'll see you in the next video and hopefully you found this valuable. Maybe comment below what type of, informational video you may want next. But yeah, without further ado, I'll see you in the next video.